सो नवंबर 2023 वेरिएंट 41 के अंदर एक क्वेश्चन आता है एंड इट्स टॉकिंग अबाउट द प्रोविजन ऑफ हेल्थ केयर by the public sector is inefficient. Therefore, all health care should be provided by firms operating in a private sector. Now, essays are dealt with in levels, पहले assessment objective 1 and 2 for 14 marks, and then your evaluation. All right. As far as the 14 marker discussion goes, the first thing you have to talk about, some definitions that definitely needs to be written here, is your discussion about the private sector and the public sector, right? So पहला एक तो ये discussion I think जरूरी है, एंड साथ ही में जब हेल्थ केयर का वर्ड देखते हैं तो क्लियरली हमारे दिमाग के अंदर मेरिट गुड्स की कहानी आती है एंड एवरीथिंग अबाउट मेरिट गुड्स. And we know that this question is entirely about um, market failure, right? And externalities, because merit goods में externalities होती है. But one of the key things that I also see over here is this word right here, inefficient. So there's so much and so many terminologies that needs to be explained over here. A couple of diagrams definitely we can see in it. So AO1 के लिए there's a lot of information that needs to go for maximum level 3 marks. Anything you miss out, problem. जहां तक AO1 और AO2 की बात है, आपको पता है जो स्टेटमेंट दी हुई है आपने उस स्टेटमेंट को इवेल्युएट करना है. तो पहले a few things that we have to prove that yes, merit goods की जो private sector है वो inefficient allocation करता है, और प्राइवेट सेक्टर जो है वो relatively ज्यादा बेहतर allocation करता है. That is your analysis. And then evaluation is the counter of this whole thing, that private sector is not necessarily more efficient than maybe the public sector, and maybe public sector can do a better job. ये आपका एक ओवरऑल ऐसे का स्ट्रक्चर होना चाहिए. So please try and follow as to what we need to do in this one. First thing, I would start off by sort of like answering the question that like जो हमारा हेल्थ केयर की इधर बात हो रही है, like this one, like health care may be provided by either public, क्योंकि मेरिट गुड है ना, वी नो दैट इट्स अ मेरिट गुड, तो पब्लिक सेक्टर भी प्रोवाइड कर सकता है. ऑब्वियसली जब पब्लिक सेक्टर प्रोवाइड कर रहा है तो वहां पे जो है गवर्नमेंट के फंड्स यूज हो रहे होंगे, राइट, एंड गवर्नमेंट इज द मेन वन हु इज सप्लाइंग. लेकिन यूजली हम ये कहते हैं कि जी गवर्नमेंट जो है वो अगर प्रोड्यूस भी कर रही है तो वो विदाउट प्रॉफिट मोटिव कर रही है, राइट. दैट इज व्हाट आवर idea. However, it can also be provided by private sector for profit, right? And consumers can pay directly. और वेस्टर्न इकोनॉमीज के अंदर तो ज्यादातर इंश्योरेंस के थ्रू, राइट, वो भी प्राइवेट सेक्टर ही हो जाता है एक तरीके से. यू हैव टू बी इंश्योर्ड एंड द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी इज गोना पे, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट payment is necessary. A few things about merit goods that I would want to mention over here is that healthcare is a merit good, right? And consumers underestimate the true benefits. right? Through benefits. Uh, these goods, like in this case, we can even say that a merit good generates positive externalities. Positive, we like this word, right? I think we should explain this. Positive externalities, which is the spillover. We like this word. Marking scheme में लिखा होता है. Spillover benefits to third party. Yeah. Benefits to the third party. ठीक. So these are some of the terminologies that we can work with, but still a few terminologies are left in, for example, हमारा efficiency. I haven't talked about efficiency. We must talk about allocative efficiencies. Free market, जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर की बात कर रहे हैं हम, free market ignores the external benefit. ये जो positive externality है, this is the external benefit uh, of merit goods, and typically under consumed, right? Leading to allocative inefficiency, where marginal social benefit is greater than marginal private benefit, right? इस पे I can think of a diagram that we can make over here, a nice diagram. It's always a good idea to use a diagram, right? कॉस्ट बेनिफिट वाला मेनली, और फिर करेक्शंस के अंदर भी जो है हम उसी को यूज कर लेंगे. यू कैन हैव कॉस्ट एंड बेनिफिट, पूरा ही लिखा करो प्लीज. एंड किस तरीके से प्राइवेट बेनिफिट और प्राइवेट कॉस्ट की बेसिस के ऊपर markets will produce. Right over here we can call it QM. हम अपने write-up में इसको explain कर लेंगे. And because these goods, we'll also assume that these goods don't create any pollution or something, because हम merit good की बात कर रहे हैं, तो from consumption point of view our focus is on that. तो इसका जो social benefit होता है, like I just mentioned ऊपर, allocative inefficiency क्यों है? क्योंकि social benefit is actually higher than the private benefit, और उसकी वजह से जो है, this is the social welfare quantity and the market is failing. और जब तक क्वांटिटी ये कैचअप नहीं कर लेते मेरिट गुड्स की, उस वक्त तक मार्केट फेलियर एग्जिस्ट करेगा. So you're required to do a little write-up of this, right? An explanation that how the markets will produce where marginal private benefit equals to marginal private cost at QM. Social welfare quantity is QSW, where marginal social benefit equals marginal social cost. There is allocative inefficiency due to under consumption, right? So that could be our explanation for this. एक ये बात हो सकती है. अब, all right, let me go back to the question and regroup. Once I've given all the definitions, I think I've covered all definitions. I've covered inefficiency, merit goods, externalities, public sector, private sector. Mainly, we've dealt with, uh, yeah. अब आर्ग्यू ये करना है that yes, public sector has inefficiencies. So what could be the reasons? All right, let's do this. So what are the reasons for those inefficiencies? So one of the reasons that we can talk about, like public sector are inefficient, and this is more of like the theoretical side, are inefficient due to lack of profit motive. There are bureaucratic delays because बहुत सारी approvals होना शुरू हो जाती हैं, गवर्नमेंट डिसीजन मेकिंग बहुत स्लो हो जाती है, साथ ही में कोई खास व्हाट कैन यू से कोई खास परफॉर्मेंस इंसेंटिव्स नहीं होते, बिकॉज प्रॉफिट के लिए होता प्राइवेट सेक्टर में तो दे वुड मेक श्योर दैट द सर्विस इज टॉप नॉच. They have slow technological um, adoption, long waiting lines. So quite a few that we can think of. And ये जो हमने ऊपर लिखे भी हैं, these issues may increase uh, average cost and reduce productive efficiency. So I've said before also that whenever they use the word efficiency, I would like to personally discuss the allocative and the productive wala side of efficiency. It's usually a good idea to do that. So in this case, I can actually create a diagram. I can think of a diagram in terms of productive efficiency. Private versus public को compare करते हैं. You can have your LRAC. दो एवरेज कॉस्ट कर्व्स बनाते हैं. This one can be for the public, and let's make another one slightly lower, suggesting that, you know, private sector will be able to achieve a much more uh, lower, you know. So I would write like, whenever you draw the diagram, it's a must that you explain. Any diagram made but not explained is not considered in essay. उसका कोई contribution नहीं है. So if you're making something, you must make sure that you use it. Private sector might operate on a higher average cost curve, जैसे हमारा यहाँ LRAC public का reference है मेरे पास, and this is due to inefficiency, ना technological adaptations है. While private hospitals could operate on lower average cost because of profit driven cost discipline. So something along this line. I think that would be a good idea to do. So I have just proved that yes, public sectors जो हैं वो इन वजहों की वजह से जो है वो इनएफिशिएंट होंगी. देन आई वुड राइट अबाउट कि प्राइवेट सेक्टर जो है क्यों ज्यादा एफिशिएंट होती हैं. ठीक है. सो आई विल कंटिन्यू माय essay and I will write that private sector is efficient due to profit incentive and may innovate and improve management. They may aim for cost minimization by improving productivity, right? They usually are more responsive to consumers, right? So that also works for their advantage. So these could be some of the advantages before I go into the evaluation side. So just to conclude this analysis, however, profit maximizing uh, private firms also focus on treatments that generate higher revenue, neglecting essential but less profitable services such as कौन सी हो सकती है, इमरजेंसी केयर हो सकती हैं, गरीबों का हो सकता है रूरल हेल्थ क्लिनिक्स एक्सेट्रा, राइट. मेंटल हेल्थ सपोर्ट, बहुत सारी चीजें हो सकती हैं विच दे इग्नोर. एंड देन आवर फाइनल इवेल्युएशन ऑन दिस होल थिंग, दैट पब्लिक सेक्टर जो है आपने बोल दिया कि इनएफिशिएंट है. ओके. और प्राइवेट सेक्टर ज्यादा एफिशिएंट है. एंड ये गुड्स, मेरिट गुड्स जो है वो अंडर कंज्यूम्ड है. मार्केट जो है उसको पूरी तरीके से प्रोवाइड नहीं कर रही है, अंडर कंजम्पशन है. तो अब उसको किस तरीके से हम डील कर सकते हैं. So, sort of like disadvantages of private sector. I can go over like disadvantages of private sector and the advantages of public sector. So that would be my evaluation basically, right? So I would, before evaluation or in evaluation, I would sort of like, just give a little intro on this idea. Although मैंने almost अपना however करके जो है almost evaluation start कर ही दी है. That despite public sector inefficiencies shifting, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन क्या आ रहा है कि सारा ही जो है वो आप प्राइवेट सेक्टर के ऊपर छोड़ दिया जाए, right? So we want to talk about that part of the essay, that despite public sector inefficiencies, shifting all healthcare to private sector firms is unlikely to achieve this social efficient level of output. Private firms ignore external benefits, so they supply. If you notice, I'm making sure that in my write-up, I make sure that we continuously include the example, what this question is about, right? एंड बार बार हम वो रेफरेंस भी दे रहे हैं टू द क्वेश्चन कि देखें क्वेश्चन में वो कह रहे हैं ऑलवेज, क्या उसकी वजह से क्या एफिशिएंसीज ठीक हो जाएंगी, प्राइवेट सेक्टर क्या हमेशा अच्छा एफिशिएंटली प्रोड्यूस करता है. So we are continuously addressing worsening the market failure, and that needs to be done, right? All right. So इसको, I think we should include some of this. Private sector is on the basis of ability to pay. So it may result in unequal access to the public. Yeah. Uh, it will exclude low income households and widen the health inequality, right? This will lead to poorer long-term long-term social outcome. So ये एक हमारी बात हो गई जिसके अंदर आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट प्राइवेट सेक्टर किस तरीके से might not be efficient. They might actually create inequality. uh, long run के अंदर it might compromise, right? Other than that, private sector may provide healthcare service at higher price, prioritize prioritize um, profit services over essential ones. ओके, सो ये तो काफी हो गई नेगेटिव साइड ऑफ द प्राइवेट सेक्टर. अब थोड़ा सा कुछ एडवांटेजेस होने चाहिए ऑफ पब्लिक सेक्टर, हाउ पब्लिक सेक्टर कैन एक्चुअली डील विद दिस प्रॉब्लम. Public sector can provision universal access to everyone and promote equity, fairness. This may correct the positive externalities, right? And also provide the uh, low profit essential services. राइट. सो ये तो हमारी बात हो गई कि पब्लिक प्राइवेट. द क्वेश्चन वाज अबाउट कि आपको प्रोवाइड सारा दे देना चाहिए पब्लिक के ऊपर, सॉरी प्राइवेट के ऊपर, और पब्लिक पे से हटा देना चाहिए. सो आई थिंक एक बैलेंस व्यू डेफिनेटली इसके अंदर यही हो सकता है, that it's not a wise idea to allow only the private sector to provide these essential services. There should be like a mixed system over here with where there's partial public sector who would correct the market failure, and and there should be like a private sector who should be working on efficiency and innovation, creating additional capacity, and like basically working in hand with the government to get the best result. So, in conclusion, now this is what I would write for a conclusion. I'll just suggest, because you have to sort of like bring everything together in your conclusion. So, like the question was saying that, all healthcare should be provided by private because they're efficient. So I would say something like that the claim that all healthcare should be privately provided because public provision is inefficient is too simplistic. Okay, while the private sector may offer productive efficiency, it fails to achieve the allocative efficiency by considering the positive externality and equitable distribution or equitable access to the service. So, a combined system rather than completely privatizing is likely to produce the highest net benefit for society by balancing efficiency and equity and social welfare. So, sort of like a summation of everything that we have sort of suggested in this essay. And this is, I think, a reasonable essay, and I'm sure that we've covered most of it. In the marking scheme, they're suggesting a distinction between private and public ownership. आप बताएं. I think we did a reasonable job in that. Healthcare एक merit good है. Merit की significance, उसकी explanation, I think we did that. Link between merit good, externality, and allocative efficiency, we did that using the diagram. Analysis of the relationship between public provision of healthcare and efficient outcomes should be provided. So, so first we talked about कि public provision कैसी inefficient है, and private sector efficient है, public sector inefficient है. Causes we talked about, what could be the causes behind it. आई थिंक इसके अंदर वो प्राइवेट का नहीं लिखा हुआ, बट आई थिंक वी ऑल्सो एक्सप्लेन द प्राइवेट सेक्टर ऑल्सो दैट हाउ दे कैन बी मोर एफिशिएंट. And then in the evaluation, they want us to write how public sector cannot be efficient. एक्सटर्नैलिटी को इग्नोर करते हैं, प्रॉफिट के चक्कर के अंदर सर्विसेज छोड़ देंगे, इनइक्वालिटी क्रिएट करेंगे, ब्यूरोक्रेसी का प्रॉब्लम आएगा. आई थिंक वी कवर्ड ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग. Yeah, I think we've done almost. Advertising is often costly. We haven't spoken about that. That's missed out. But खैर है, कोई बात नहीं. Um, A conclusion should be attempted which examines the net benefit of each alternative, that is public and the private. Yeah, we did that. We did not talk about an alternative policy. I, also, the impact of on price and output in some circumstances take a long time to become effective. हमने time period का कुछ नहीं लिखा. Advertising is often costly and it not always certain will have a sufficient persuasion. Huh. I haven't spoken anything about the correction side. I just said that mixed would be the best way to go about it. But it seems that marking scheme के अंदर they are willing to reward कि अगर आप किसी किस्म की गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन के थ्रू मार्केट का फेलियर खत्म करने की बात करें, बिकॉज अदरवाइज व्हाई वुड यू टॉक अबाउट एडवर्टाइजमेंट? दैट्स weird. I didn't see any discussion over here about advertisement, and I don't think question के अंदर they are talking about the correction side. So I don't know why they've written that in the marking scheme. It's purely about public sector inefficient and private sector efficient. Discuss karo if that's true. So there is no need uh, to have that discussion. Right. So I think that sort of like concludes our essay. It's a reasonable essay. Other than this, I don't have anything else for this particular uh, topic as such.